The following program is produced by the Tech Talk Radio Network. Welcome to another episode of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
And I'm Matt Jones.
Great to see you, Matt. We missed you last week. We kind of took a little liberty because we knew that you were in wire rewiring heck.
I saw the picture.
Yeah.
The picture was accurate.
That was pretty accurate, right?
That was pretty accurate.
Yeah, we went into Dali and we asked it, I know Matt's going through, show me a picture of a guy just buried in cables. And one of them, they showed the guy's face. And I said, no, hide the face. And then that's what it came up with.
It's not hiding the face. It's hiding the tears.
All right. So what is pretty amazing, though, is what you ended up coming up with. And we do have photos from last week on the blog of what you eventually created. And I got to say, it's pretty amazing.
When my wife and I first moved into this house, the basement wasn't finished. And that's where I'm at right now. It's down in our basement. So I was in the other bedroom we had. Finally got to do the culmination of my dream of like a work, play, gaming cave.
Right.
And it was great. But then, the basement got finished. We had people staying over more often. We ended up having a roommate for a little while. And it was like, why am I hogging this big old honking room with its own bathroom instead of going to the one downstairs where I probably should be? So I ended up around, actually, I think I've been down here for about a year now. But when I moved down, one of the things I wanted was a big floating desk. So I used 2 foot by 1 inch diameter black, just cast iron pipe that you can get at like Home Depot, Lowe's,
right,
whatever. And I got the flanges, just that little circular disc that they screw into, and mounted all those to the wall. Now, if I could go back, listeners, the one thing I would do different would be to lag bolt a 2x4 to the studs.
Oh, yeah. And
then mount the flanges to the 2x4. As it is, the flanges are now either mounted to the studs or with like 400-pound test anchors per flange.
Right.
That being said, my gaming tower was pretty beefy. And there would still be days where I'd walk down here and like put my weight on the desk and you just hear like that, the creak hit that one note too high where you're just like, oh, okay.
Now what kind of case you were running? Not a half 932 or anything like that, was it? I mean,
no, I used to run a half 932. Actually, I had the original half air case, and I loved that thing. Yeah. But this was a Thermaltake View 37, I think. It still had some weight to it. And then one day I saw this YouTube video, and I was like, oh, I could rack mount stuff. So we used a little bit of money that came in, picked up the cases and, some new components. And yeah, we decided to just break down because my computer was on top of the desk. My wife's was underneath the desk. So I broke both of them down, racked them because when I was still streaming on Twitch, those computers were actually connected in a various number of ways to be my whole studio.
Right.
And I was like, oh, if I rack them, then like doing that's so much easier. Well, one of the big decisions I made as I was doing all this is I officially have shut down Captain Oblivious. I've decided I'm no longer streaming on Twitch. I haven't done it in ages. It was fun when I did it, but now I'm just going to play games for me. But Everything's working great. The cabling's fine. The airflow's good. I'm a happy man.
That's what the first thing when you told me that you were going to move into a rack mounted case. And I have a rack mounted case. And I remember I set it up in our original office and I was using it. And then, it does take up the desk space. I didn't do it like you did, actually mount it in a rack. I put it on top of the desk. And I remember like thinking, airflow. When we think of a gaming computer, we think of the acrylic. We think of this being able to see inside and the RGB lights. And I think of a rack, I think of it being a server. And you just said, no, this actually, the airflow and everything will work good in a rack-mounted case as well.
Yeah, so the way I've actually got mine, I have both computers configured pretty much the same way. I have an all-in-one 360 millimeter CPU liquid cooler. And I've got the radiator mounted to the very front. And I know some people, when they hear this, are going to be like, wait, you're not using the radiator as the exhaust. I know. Anyways, so the air gets pulled in through the radiator, goes in the case. And then I've got they're two 80 millimeter, but high volume fans in the back as an exhaust. And putting my hand back there, like it pumps air through. Everything's happy. I haven't had any alerts. The only thing that irritated me
Uh-oh, here we
was
go.
there are no Wi-Fi 7 drivers for Windows 10, and they have no intentions of releasing
Oh,
them.
really? So it's going to be one of
So
those, oh, you got to get to 11.
they
And then you'll,
finally got me. I've made it all the way until last week, and now I'm on Windows 11. So good job, Microsoft. I'm looking at Windows 10, and the device manager is just like, I don't recognize this network controller. And I looked everywhere, and everybody was like, yeah, that's how they're getting us. Sorry, bud.
wow. Now, even the manufacturer of the Wi-Fi 7, it's still, wow.
Yeah, so I used Gigabyte for my new board. I went there and tried to pull down a network driver. As soon as you changed it from Windows 11 to Windows 10, the driver disappeared. If you tried to install it with the Windows 11 driver, which they say can be backwards compatible, well, the Wi-Fi ones aren't. And then I found out the manufacturer of the Wi-Fi chip, and went to try and pull it down from them, and they were like, "Nah, sorry, dog."
Whoa. Now, I wanted to ask in the picture, and again, our listeners can go to blog.techtalkradio.com. The picture, you have a ring light, and in the center of it, it looked like you had a DSLR.
I do.
Is that being used as your webcam?
That is my webcam, and it is a Sony ZV-10. It is a mirrorless SLR, but the thing is, the Sony ZV-10 was originally designed for blogging and vlogging. So it actually, when you guys were talking last week about like cameras having the USB input when COVID hit, I used to have a Canon and use that until Canon decided, now that we're in a post-COVID world, that product should not be free anymore. And the free version, they pushed an update that basically bricked it. And you have to do the paid version now that costs either like, $2 a month or like $25 a year. Sony's Image Edge software was free, but then I found this camera and it actually has a built-in USB streaming mode.
Oh, wow.
Where you can actually, so I've got a USB-C plugged into it that goes straight into my computer, and a dummy battery in there that is basically just a way they use a power pack, so it's always plugged in, always powered on, and it just goes straight through. I don't need Image Edge, I don't need anything. It just natively recognizes the camera. I changed the settings on it to do, eye tracking and more light balancing and things. And, as you can see, the background is softened just that ever so slightly, but I've been using this thing for years. I love it.
It's funny because listener Steve reached out to me because in the show I was talking about how I have the Logitech Brio 4K, and I like the cameras from Logitech. They've been great. I've been using them since. Actually, I'll be honest with you. I had the Connectix Quick Cam, and then it became Logitech. The 4K, I was complaining because if I compare the quality between yours, which looks great, Justin's, I don't know if you saw his video.
Yeah, I took a look at it.
The capture was pretty good. The live was even better. Sean's camera looks good, but mine is washed out. And he actually got in touch with me. He said, your problem may not be the camera, it may be your lighting. And he said, what kind of lighting are you running? And I said, well, I've got 5 lights that are just regular light bulbs that are above me, 75-watt bulbs. He goes, that's it. He said, change your lighting and you might be more happier with the result of what that camera is able to give you. And
I mean, for example, with this one, this is just with the ring light. I used to have a second light, an Elgato Keylight Air, over sitting behind the second monitor to hit me from my right side. I took it down when I did the reorg, but if you look, just turning off the ring light and the drastic difference that makes.
Look at that.
Because now you've got the light from my monitor, you've got the light from above. It messes with the depth of field and everything. But then as soon as I pop that back on, and the other thing I did is the camera is, I set the camera color for 4500K, and I can control the color of this light as well, and I matched it. So it's picking it, like it's tuned in at 4500K, and my light showing at 4500K as well helped give it a really nice soft look.
For somebody like, you look at Shawn's setup, Shawn, do you have an actual like a ring light or a focus light on you?
Yeah, it's a ring light. It's about 7 inches across, maybe. So it's a decent sized ring light, and it's sitting right behind my camera. My camera's not in the middle. My camera's a little bit lower.
Right.
But yeah, it's just a. I mean, I think I paid $15 for it on Amazon, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I can do it in steps. I can't see what the color temperature is, but I can just do it in steps. And I kind of just picked what I thought looked good, and my camera is set to auto.
Right. I kind of wonder then maybe in situations should somebody then just turn off all the lights and just use the ring light, or if they have a ring light, or the Logitech has that bar light as well, just use that instead.
Yeah, I mean, you're still you're still limited by the sensor size, right? You're still limited by if it has an actual physical aperture or not.
Right.
Because if it can actually shut the physical or open the physical aperture a little bit, you're going to get a little bit of that bokeh, the blurriness of the depth of field.
Yeah.
You're kind of limited on webcams because they're cheap-ish for a reason,
Oh yeah.
and that is their physical lens structure.
And what they're made to do. Now,
Yeah, correct.
Now I'm wondering, Matt, like when it came to your wiring, your cabling, I know that was a big undertaking. You didn't just want to string everything just on the floor behind everything. You decided to do it the right way.
I did it the right way, and I went through so very many zip ties that I made sure to flush cut every single one of them as God intended. Because I have scars covered up by both of these tattoos from reaching into racks where somebody didn't. But I ended up finding a cool little kit online, and I used this when I first built this desk, but it actually comes with like a circular coring bit and just punches a nice like 2-inch diameter hole out of your drywall, and then has a piece that fits in there, and you do the screws and they butterfly open and seal it in place, and then there's a plastic gasket you can put over there. So I've got all my cables either running in the wall behind my monitors, or some of the stuff that's on the desk, it goes under the desk, and then I've got that all zip tied and bundled and across. But other than really 2 spots, and they're both tied to my wife's computer, you can't see any of the
That's
cables
perfect.
because that's how I want it. I want it super clean and pretty and nice.
Now I got to say, talking about the flush cutting of the zip ties, Shawn, what a subject that was, because that has garnered one of the most viewed segments of the show because of just it touched a lot of people. They've all been through it. Zero commented on our TikTok page saying, "Not if you do them right. My zip ties break before they come undone." Is that a good thing? I 45 them, so I think that he's somebody who likes to make sure somebody gets a jagged edge in their arm. Mike Gasser wrote, "Using zip ties in a rack should be a fireball offense. Use Velcro."
I would say to that comment about Velcro, use it. This is what I was taught in the years I've been in the industry.
Right.
You use Velcro for fiber optics because of the bend radius. Because if you pinch them too tight with zip ties, it can break the internal glass strands.
All right.
Anything else is fair game for zip ties.
Yeah. All right. We got another one too. I like this one. This one, guy Mirror Riker said to you, Shawn, "Suck it up, Buttercup. That slack has function."
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. If you do it right, you cut to length, and then underneath the rack, you leave yourself a nice service loop.
There you go. I thought it was great though. It created a lot of conversation about flush cutting those, and honestly, I had no idea. I was left a little bit on there, so I was doing them wrong.
I mean, anybody that is saying "suck it up, Buttercup" has never cursed somebody's name, reaching into the back of a rack and slicing your arm open. You just haven't. You can cry about it all day long and say "suck it up, Buttercup," but you just haven't put in the work.
I have sanctified more تhan one rack in my lifetime that I had no desire to sanctify.
Yeah, it's not fun.
No, I remember coming home from one, and we had moved a rack. We had moved 3 racks between data centers, and we were trying to do it in one day. And I think I got home at like 2 a.m. and my wife, who at the time she was the time she was my girlfriend. Damn, that was a long time ago. And she just looks at me and she was like, "Oh my God, what happened to you? Did you get in like a fight in the parking lot?" And I'm like, "No, I've been working in a server rack all day. This is just how you look when you're done." Like,
yeah. All right. Well, that ended up being pretty good. Now, one of the things we also talked about last week was mechanical keyboards. And this was like right up your alley. And you have a mechanical keyboard you wanted to tell us about. That is something that should be something that this lady whose son is saying, "Hey, Mom, I want a mechanical keyboard. I need it." You're saying, "Yeah, this is the one to get."
Technically, if we're being honest here, because admitting you have a problem is the start of fixing a problem, I have 6 mechanical keyboards.
Wow.
Scattered throughout my house. The one that I picked up, though, I found on my last trip to Micro Center, which, by the way, my fellow techie people, our trips to Micro Center are like handy people's trips to Lowe's or Home Depot. Like, you're not doing the project right if you don't have to go back at least once.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it used to be with Fry's. We had Fry's Electronics out here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I found this one. The company is called Keychron, Keychron. And with keyboards, it used to be keyboards came in just one size. Yeah, the whole keyboard, number pad, everything like that. That is considered a 100% keyboard. My favorite setup is usually somewhere between the 75 to 80%. So in this case, like, I don't have a number pad. I have a delete, a page up, page down, and a home key. But then a lot of keyboards will provide additional layers through the function key. So for like me to use the end key, I just hit function home. But this keyboard is the Keychron V1 Max. It is a 75% keyboard with mechanical switches, and it is just packed full of features. I have it plugged in via USB-C, which allows it to charge the internal battery because it can be wireless, but not just wireless like your usual, like a Logitech where it's got the little dongle.
Right.
It has that. It's got 2 of them, actually. It has one that's old school USB-A, and the other is USB-C, and then it's got a slot for both of them to fit in the back that's almost flush. So if you're not using it, you can just pop it and store it in the keyboard without having to take a case off or anything. Fully rechargeable internal battery, and it can also be Bluetooth. It also has a neat little switch that will switch between whether you want to use it for Mac or you want to use it for Windows. And the other thing it says on both of those is iOS or Android. So it is compatible with everything.
So in essence, if somebody has their smartphone and they've got it, propped up, or a tablet, say whether it be an iOS, a iPad or whatever, they can actually use that keyboard to type out on the iPad or iPhone.
Can.
Nice. And you said there's storage on it? Is there storage?
There's not storage per se.
Okay.
There is there's online software that you can access on Keychron's site called QMK. And you can use that to actually configure and rewrite the firmware on the keyboard. So The other thing that's cool with mechanical keyboards is, you can pop off your keycaps, because with a mechanical keyboard, you have switches and then keycaps that sit on top of the switches. So if you want to do a non-standard layout, what we consider a standard layout is your QWERTY, QWERTY, what we all learn to type on.
Right.
QWERTY keyboards came about to actually slow down the human capability for typing with typewriters, because humans would type too fast with some of the first layouts they did and would cause the typewriters to jam. So QWERTY is actually designed to slow you down. So there are other non-standard keyboard layouts you could do. The 2 most popular are Dvorak and Colmac.
Right.
Colmac? Yeah, Colmac. So you can go in and rewrite the firmware for this keyboard to turn it into those, and then just switch the keycaps around, and there you go.
Wow. Pretty nice. And now you showed it to us earlier. It didn't.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, let's so the listeners can get a look if they check out the video of the site. Now, I was looking at it going, okay, I have a Steel Series, mechanical keyboard. It lights up, but it's all beautiful. Does this light up? Is it RGB?
If you look, you'll see it gently kind of here in the shadows. It does light up. If I switched out to a see-through set of keycaps, it would definitely shine a lot more. This one's a little different. A lot of Steel Series, Shawn, yours that you showed up, they usually do north-facing RGB, so the light is at the north end of the switch. They configured this so that the RGB is actually at the south end, which, most people are going to be like, okay, and?
Right.
But because of the angle of the keyboard, it actually puts it so it's not quite as at the same angle as if it were north facing. So even if you kind of get a look at the switches between the keys, you're not suddenly like, oh, I wonder it's purple and so bright.
How does it feel to type on it? Because again, that's the selling point.
It's like typing on butter. I'm finding excuses to type on this keyboard. For the keyboard nerds who are listening to the show, the switches are the Gateron Jupiter Brown. When we talk about switches, there's really three different feelings you can get with them. They're defined as linear, tactile, and clicky. Linear is just key go up, key go down.
Yeah.
There's nothing fancy. Clicky, as you type, you get that old classical, like click, 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 click that you see in all the old 80s Hollywood movies of somebody hacking on a computer.
Exactly.
Tactile, you get the physical sensation like of the clicky. You feel the attenuation point of when the key registers, but there's no audible component with it. So these are tactile keys. But what Keychron has done that's really nice is they actually put 2 layers of sound dampening foam, and they mounted it via a gasket mount instead of a hard mount, which gives it just a little bit of flex. But because of that, as you're typing on this thing, and I experimented with it, like I was banging out on that keyboard, and it's the quietest mechanical keyboard I have ever typed on in my life.
Now you can find this. You said Micro Center. Is that one?
Yep. It's the V1 Max. You can find it at Micro Center. I am pretty sure, I know you can also find it on their website,
right?
Along with all their other keyboards. I'm checking to see if it's on Amazon right now.
Because we have to take a break, but when we come back, Shawn got something, and I think he got a great deal too on it.
I'm assuming it's a Black Friday deal because it's the beginning of the week, but yeah,
it's got to be. So when we come back, we'll find out what it is that he got. And in the meantime, Matt's going to see if this is available on Amazon. And if so, we'll go ahead and put a link to it on our blog and website as well. We'll be back with more of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
And I'm Matt Jones. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/techtalkers.
We'll be right back.
And now, back to Tech Talk Radio.
So during the break, I was curious because I couldn't remember what switches my keyboard has. I have the Steel Series Apex M750, which is no longer available. I bought it like 7 years ago.
Steel Series is great. I've always loved them.
And it has the QX2 linear mechanical switches. So if you were listening before, linear just means the button goes up, button goes down. There's no force feedback. There's no clicky. It's just it's relatively quiet, but it's a small. I have a 75%, so I don't have the numpad. But I have the home, insert, delete, page up, page down keys. And when I was looking at keyboards, right, and I just wanted something relatively inexpensive, I went to the mechanical keyboard subreddit, which, as Matt was saying at the end of the last segment, you can really go down a rabbit hole with that.
Really?
You can get people that are going to argue about what switch is better.
No way. Really? They'll argue about it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you want to?
I mean, to break it down to layman's terms, right? It's Ford versus Chevy versus Fiat.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah,
it's like everybody's going to have their own opinion on why theirs is better.
Wow.
And it'll get heated, and I do not mean that in like a friendly, like, oh, that's a good point. I mean, like, some dude will be like, you like Cherry MX Reds? Your bloodline is weak. And then proceed to like cuss you out about why you're using like the basic Betty of switches. And if you were a real mechanical keyboard fan, what you'd be looking at is, the Holy Panda X Tank Mech Warrior switches, only available from November 1st through 6th on this one specific website. And I'm like, when I first got into mechanical keyboards, I was like, I thought I could make nerds fight. And I say that as a nerd, but then I walked into that room and it's like walking into a bar mid-bar fight.
Oh boy, that's
with
great.
some of those
Yeah.
posts.
Yeah.
Like you walk in and like you just look at the post title and you're like, oh, somebody woke up and chose violence this morning. Okay.
Well, so the subreddits. Do people get on there and just argue about like Windows versus Mac? This monitor size.
Oh yeah.
Really? Oh
yeah.
man.
Oh
Wow.
Do you want to find a spot for nerds to fight about a very specific niche set of things? There's going to be a subreddit for it. There's
literally a subreddit for everything.
Right. Oh man.
Good and bad under the sun.
Now we were talking about the deals that you could get. Now, Matt, were you able to find? Is this keyboard that we talked about? Is this available on Amazon?
It is available on Amazon. It is available on Amazon for a current cost of like $83, which is less than I paid for it. We will put the link up on our blog for this week's show.
Yeah.
But when you go in, you can choose the switches you want in there. They've got Gateron Jupiter reds, browns, and bananas. Which honestly, guys, just Google it and look at it. Don't go to a subreddit. Just Google what is like Gateron Jupiter brown, and just go with what Gemini tells you. So don't join this.
The mom that was trying to get this mechanical keyboard for her kid that had emailed us. She could walk into a Best Buy and buy a SteelSeries Corsair or Logitech mechanical keyboard. She's going to get. That's what she's going to get. This sounds like you have options. What is something she should know though? Going onto Amazon, looking at this keyboard and getting, what should she get?
If this is just for her kid and they're looking for a decent mechanical keyboard, honestly, this is the one that they should probably get. If the kid wants to have, the number pad, what we talked about earlier, the full 100% size keyboard, Keychron has those. I would do those as well. The thing about SteelSeries, Razer, glorious mechanical gaming keyboards, Red Dragon, I'm trying to think of some of the other big, Corsair.
Yeah.
They're overpriced. They are overpriced by a lot. Most of them you have to use their proprietary software, which is crap. The Corsair IQ, I am specifically going to call out, along with Razer's Own, as like some of the worst vendor-specific software I've had to use for my personal gear.
SteelSeries GG is pretty bad too.
SteelSeries GG is also right up there, and you have to use this proprietary junk to do the same stuff that I was talking about that is for free on Keychron's site with QMK. I don't have to sign up for it. I don't have to let them into my system. I just do it that way. But the other thing is like this keyboard right now for $83 is ridiculous.
Right.
It is. And they're beefy. Like just feeling this thing, it feels solid.
Right.
You have the other ones that do the full aluminum chassis. I did the plastic instead, which, it's got a little bit of bend to it, but it's, you're in a plastic case. If you want the real hefty one that's an aluminum case, like there's going to be no bend to that unless you're really muscling it. But don't buy the ones you're going to see most of the time when you go into Best Buy. Like Keychron. Oh no, that one was expensive. No, Keychron is kind of the way to go.
Right now, we're talking about it, right? I'm looking at their website, and there are $55 keyboards on their website. Keychron K1 mechanical wireless. Now it doesn't have the fancy switches, but it has cherry switches, which are cheaper.
Cherry switches are just fine
for $55.
For $55, that's perfect.
Yeah, so I encourage her to look at the website. Go to their website. Look at Amazon. You can get a mechanical keyboard for $55.
The other nice feature that you want to try and find with a mechanical keyboard is something called hot swappable switches.
Yes. Yeah.
And the reason you want hot swappable switches is we talked about earlier how you can just pop your keycaps off of the switches. These will come with something called a switch puller, which just actually I've got one right here.
All right.
So this is a switch puller. It just looks like an oversized pair of tweezers, but you will actually, try that. There we go. That's actually how it's supposed to look. Mine got a little squished, but then you'll just go into the keyboard, crimp it, and you'll obviously want to unplug the keyboard first, but then just a solid yank up, and that switch comes out because, as we've talked about, it's a mechanical keyboard. It's a mechanical component. It's going to eventually wear out. A hot swappable keyboard will allow you to just yank those out, go buy new switches, and plug them in. as opposed to one that is not hot swappable, that means that those switches have actually been soldered to the PCB, which is the control board for the keyboard. And if they're soldered in there, then you have to do the whole thing of break it down, undo the soldering, get a new one, trim it. No one's got time for that. Just go for one that's hot swappable. Because also, as your kid gets older and they start falling down this rabbit hole, because buying one mechanical keyboard is like trying just a little bit of crack, it's definitely not going to have any effect on the rest of your life. Eventually, they're going to be like, I want to try a different set of switches. Well, if you have a hot swappable one, you can do that. You just pay for the switches, which are one of the cheapest components you can get.
Right. All right. Now, again, we want our listeners to find the links up on our website. Some great raves for this company that makes these. Now, in the meantime, Shawn, had been looking on Amazon, and he got an email in, and it was a good deal, and you decided to go ahead and go for it.
So on Monday, I got a Black Friday email from DJI saying, hey, look at our deals, right? And it had, it had the drones, it had the Osmos, it had the action cameras, and at the very bottom, it had the DJI Power 1000. We talked about this when they launched it, right? So it's a solar generator,
right?
It's a lithium iron phosphate battery that has all the bells and whistles of a generator. It's got AC, it's got 120 volt AC, it's got DC, it's a great kit to put in the camper when we go camping.
Oh yeah.
And it said 40% off. And I was like, oh, that's great. Like, it's been on my list of things to buy when it goes on sale. So then I clicked check the deals. On Amazon, from the DJI store, it was 48% off.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, well, I got a code in my email. So I'm going to see if I could put that code in at checkout. And it gave me an additional $40 off.
Oh, wow.
So I paid... So if normally this is like a almost $1,000 piece of hardware,
right?
I paid $380 for it on Amazon.
Amazing! Wow.
So with their 40% off plus, I don't know if I cheated by using the code at the same time, but hey, if you're going to give me the discount, I'm going to take it. So I'm very thrilled to have this coming. I should have it by mid-December because it's going to take a little while to ship. But now, I'm very excited to have it and play with it.
Is this the big one that is on wheels and you could roll it around? Is that
no? It's not. It's not that big. It's I don't know what the size is, but
it looks like a shoebox sat on its side.
Yeah, it's probably 6 or 7 inches by 12 inches long. It's like a shoebox. That's a good size for it, but. For what we do when we go camping, or if I'm out with, Steve, my buddy Steve, we're doing astrophotography or something, I can charge all my devices, right? If I'm doing ham radio stuff, I don't need to take my, I don't have to plug a 12 volt into my car and run 12 volt from my car. This will sustain that. So when we go camping and we want to watch TV or we want to do something, we can just have this. It charges up. It has the ability to plug in directly into solar panels. So I can just plug it into my camper and it'll charge this, it'll use the solar from my camper to charge this. So,
wow. Now, how much power can you get out of something like this? So say, you go out, you park, okay, this is where we're going to be for the night. You could watch television, have some lights. How much?
So it's the ratings are right. It's 1,024 watt hour, which is pretty good. And it says it's a 2,200 sustained wattage output, 2,600 peak. So you could even run potentially a small air conditioner.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. If you have, so don't go out and think you can just take in an old camper and run your air conditioner off an old camper.
Right.
My camper has what they call a soft start, which means it does a soft load and builds the capacitor charge up before it draws. So it doesn't have to draw as much, like the max, the draw is lower. So there are consumer level air conditioners that you can get soft start draws on and get lower draw from their starting. But we're going to be comfortable. You can run an AC fan. You could, you're going to be comfortable.
Would you recommend people maybe become a member of the DJI mailing list and maybe they'll get this deal sent to them?
I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm just on it because I have been for God knows how long.
Right.
But I mean, they have deals on all of their stuff.
Anything
right
from
now.
Wise for the holidays that you've seen? Have they come up
I
with
got
any-
I got an email. I'm not interested in any more Wise stuff right now because they really haven't innovated.
Yeah.
I really haven't seen anything that has completely stuck out. Like, I have to have it.
Yeah.
Wise, if you're listening, please, for the love of God, bring back motion sensors so I can trigger the lights in my garage with just a motion sensor. I don't have to dedicate a camera to it.
Well, you know that Wise has been working a lot with Roku. As a matter of fact, if you see the cameras that Roku has, those are basically Wise cameras, and Roku has a motion sensing kit. And I'm wondering if maybe they just said, okay, we'll not do that. You go ahead and do that. You know, I don't know how they work that.
Well, they had them originally, like when I first bought my cameras, when I bought the original V2s, they had like door sensor kits,
right?
Window sensor kits, like the magnet ones, where if it loses the magnet, it'll trigger whatever function you want it to do. But then when they went to their the AI like tracking stuff, they got rid of that because they wanted you to rely on your cameras to do the sensing, right? You have a camera, your camera detects movement, your camera detects motion, et cetera, et cetera. So
I know Roku does have that, a home security monitor kit, which is pretty good. It integrates with your television as well, which is kind of neat. So if you're watching TV, your camera can pop up. It can notify you while you're watching your show without having to look down at your smartphone. All right, we're going to take another quick break. We come back. We have listener questions. We've gotten a lot over the last couple of days, so we'll share one that's standing by. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
And I'm Matt Jones. Go ahead and send us an X at Tech Talk Radio. We'll be right back.
Now, back to Tech Talk Radio.
You can reach out to us anytime. You can email us, techguys@techtalkradio.com, or even you can call and leave a message at 520-777-9580. And Al needed some thoughts on installing Windows 11. He told me that his system qualifies to run Windows 11 from Windows 10, but he's heard that there have been bugs with Windows 11. Should he wait or pull the trigger and install Windows 11 now rather than waiting all the way till October? That's when, the support will kind of end for Windows 10. Windows 10 will still run, but the support will end. Or should he do it before that?
Wow, I feel uniquely qualified to answer this question.
You just went. You bit the bullet, right?
He went like 2 days ago, and I went about a month before that. So
that's right. Yes.
Shawn, are you as bitter about it as I am?
Well, yeah, and so I don't know. I've complained about this before, but it's like I'm sick of the bloat that comes with Windows, right? I'm sick of ads in the home screen, ads on the start bar, like not necessarily ads, but like search recommendations and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I stripped mine down to the bare bones as most as you can do. So, but I wasn't bitter about it, but I definitely waited longer than most people.
All right. So what do you guys think?
Just do it. Just get it over with.
It's like ripping off a Band-Aid. Like, it's gonna come off. You don't really have a choice. Windows 10, the official EOL is October 14th of next year. That means it's still going to function, but you are not going to have any more security updates, any more feature updates. The current version, 22H2, is the last version. For comparison's sake, I think I'm on like 24H something with Windows 11. It's going to be more secure. Windows is still getting the security patches and security updates and Defender updates and things like that. But man, just pull the Band-Aid off. There's some things about it that, like Shawn was mentioning, that I really don't like.
Yeah.
I miss my old start menu of come up, here's all my crap.
Yep.
Here's the stuff that I've pinned. Instead, you open it and it's like, here's all the pinned stuff. And underneath it is like, here's all our recommendations. Well, if you turn off recommendations, that includes like continually open files, things like that. But it's also the random bloat ad junk that they're going to float your way of like, has your Aunt Debbie twice removed not convince you to download Candy Crush Saga yet? Let me give you 6 ads for it every single day while you're just trying to find Word.
Right. Is there things that Al should do before making the jump? Did you do anything before you said, okay, I'm going to install Windows 11 on it? I should do this first.
So with me,
back up your files, obviously, but
yeah, I was going to say with me, I've got everything spread across 3 different hard drives in it. So if it nukes, my files are fine. But for most users, you definitely want to do a backup of your files first. And not like, oh, I did a backup on the same hard drive I'm going to be installing it on. No, back it up to, if you've just got a couple of Word documents and some pictures, like you can throw it on a USB key, or just get an external hard drive, or there's cloud providers. You can do Google One that you can get up to a terabyte. You can do Apple has theirs if you're in that infrastructure for your mobile devices. SugarSync. There's all sorts of cloud providers you can also do, but definitely back up your stuff first.
All right.
When you're done installing it and you have run it and you're a week, a month, however long you're comfortable with down the road, and you're like, I am not going to go back. Because when you do this is called an in-place upgrade.
Right.
The way Windows does that is it basically kind of like boxes up your old operating system, puts it on a digital shelf over here, and then installs Windows 11 and pulls some stuff out of there and puts it back in.
Right.
When you've had this long enough, you open up your start menu and type in disk cleanup, 2 words, and there'll be a little option that says run as administrator. And if you do and check all those boxes, one of them is remove previous Windows installation. And for me, as soon as I ran that was 38 gigabytes that I got back on my operating system hard drive.
That's pretty good
So
stuff.
that's something you want to do later.
All right, here's one from Mike. Now, Mike did the original musical theme for this show. Mike drives a truck for a living, but he's a musician, and I've known Mike for a long time, but he sent us a note, and he says, I want to make short videos with AI on YouTube with my music. He said, what kind of software is good for something like this? What might I need to know? I thank you so much for your help so far, and thank you in advance. Okay.
Andy, you've been sending us some really cool, like, snipped for social media stuff. What are you using for that?
Well, I'm using Olloclip for that. And was it Olloclip? Opus Clip. I'm sorry. Olloclip was a little camera you used to be able to put on your smartphone. But Opus Clip, and that creates those. But I think what he wants is a complete AI-driven scenario. And I've been on the socials like TikTok and Instagram Reels, and I've been seeing, like, there's one I saw with a baby and a cat. And the first time I saw it, I thought, oh, that's really cute, the baby and the cat, or the baby's laughing, the cat made the baby laugh. And then I watched a couple more, and I realized that's AI. It's AI. There's other ones that are completely driven AI, and I'm wondering what program could be used to create that. And I explained to Mike we may have to do a little research on this.
I think we're going to have to, because I don't know of anything that's completely AI driven.
Just
there's
from
some that you have to generate some of your own content. But
yeah, that's what I would be thinking too. I know there's great editing programs out there like CapCut that can help you create stuff, but again, for doing it from the complete AI standout of what AI could create. And I know that Mike said he wants to have his dog be a superhero or his dog to be featured in them. We're going to have to research that one. If listeners have been doing this kind of stuff or they know, please drop us a line and let us know what would be a good one. All right. And then this one from Dave in Green Valley said, I'm hoping you might know, I have an old hard drive that came out of a Windows XP machine. It's pretty okay. He said it's an 80 gigabyte drive, and I believe an IDE drive. I want to take a look at what was on it. Was never backed up. What would I need to be able to do this? I only have a laptop from Dell, and it won't fit inside that laptop.
No, it will not.
So we talked about this at the beginning of the show because we talked a little bit about the questions we were going to answer, and I have an answer for this because I've done it.
Good.
They make USB to IDE adapters.
Wait, to IDE?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen USB to SATA, but I've not
USB
seen
to
IDE.
SATA. So I looked it up and I found one. So Micro Center has one for $19. You can buy them on Amazon, but I trust Micro Center. It has the ability to do the 3.5 inch, 2.5 inch, and SATA. Not all at once, obviously, but It's USB 3. You plug the drive into the adapter. You plug it into your computer USB, and then you power it. They have an external AC power. So it powers the drive separately from your computer.
Right.
And then the USB does the data.
Wow. And then he should be able to see what was on it, right?
He should just be able to plug the drive into the adapter, plug it USB into your computer, and then put power to it. It should recognize it as a USB drive.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I've done that before, but it was years ago. But it was IDE. I was moving IDE to a SATA hard drive, and yeah, I used something like this, and they work great.
Yeah, I have a
now. If you're using a SCSI drive, you're up the creek.
God help you, because we can't.
How would you get data off an old SCSI? I mean,
find a motherboard that supports SCSI drives,
or even an adapter card. You couldn't even do it that way, could you?
I don't even know if they make adapter cards for SCSI drives. I'd have to look. That's such an old. I mean, I'm gonna have to look. But if you have a SCSI drive and it works, send it to me and I'll get the data off for you. I mean, I don't know. I'd be interested to find a SCSI. I mean, I've seen some SCSI drives and some of the old stuff that I've gotten from friends and stuff, but I've never tried to pull the data off of them.
Well, my wife had a medical billing business, and it was had a server, and I built it it had SCSI. Her drive was a SCSI drive, but when she stopped doing that and got back into working over at Northwest, she just ended up not using it anymore. So it's still sitting in the tower, but it's a Windows NT workstation. So
yeah, this is like I'm looking at some of this and seeing some of the solutions that these people have put together, and it's like an adapter into an adapter into an adapter into an adapter into USB. Wow. Thus the comment earlier, God help you, because we can't.
Right. SCSI is a different ball of wax, yeah. But IDE is good. I have a Star Dock, which I love, but it's basically just SATA. That's all you can do. You plug the drive in. It's neat because it has 2 bays. You can plug the drive in. Then you can put another drive, and you can actually copy the drives, which I've done here at the radio station before as well. But again, for IDE, I didn't even know there was a cable solution. So that one's pretty good. All right, one more as we approach. We kind of, Cyber Monday is going to be on Monday. You had Black Friday, which was yesterday. But since I think you guys have talked about this before, I have a 40-inch television from about 15 years ago. The prices this week for a 50-inch have been pretty amazing. Is there anything I should consider before buying a new TV? How do I know it's a smart TV? That's from Mary in Tucson.
So most of the TVs that you're going to see nowadays will have some form of smart to them. It's just kind of the way it's gone. There's going to be some form of, you have apps, things like that.
That's why they're cheap.
That's as
what do you mean?
As we go towards Black Friday, I'm going to give you a little secret from somebody who worked too many Black Fridays at Best Buy.
Okay.
When you are seeing these super cheap, it's an 80-inch panel for like $400, it's because that TV, that SKU was specifically designed for a Black Friday sale and will never be made again. Oh. It is not a staple model. It is not a part of the staple product line. It is literally like Frankenstein's television of a way for them to clear out old panels, old parts, old cases, things like that, to create a TV and create that SKU that they can sell super cheap, and that'll be the only day you find it.
Oh, but now, are they going to be good deals? I mean,
they're great deals for like the 1 year that it's going to last.
Ooh.
And then you're going to start seeing issues. Because here's the other thing. These smart TVs basically have a mini computer inside of it.
Right.
And like any other computer, as it gets more updates, because they keep coming through, Internet of Things is doing a little bit better now about securing itself. But as you've got more updates coming through for the whatever operating system it's using, the streaming apps themselves update as time goes on, the TV starts to show its age by slowing down. We have a Vizio TV upstairs that you hit the power button. It's like, okay, I want to go to Netflix. And it used to just, bop, bop. Now it's kind of moseying along and taking its time. So you're going to see a more rapid decline of the software portions of it. You'll start seeing hardware issues usually around a year and a half, maybe 2 years, but these are not TVs that are meant to last. They're not by technology and by business profit. They are designed to fail quickly. So if you're looking for a new TV, you're coming up on a time where it's like it's honestly a little bit of a risk for what you're going to pick.
Yeah, I'm thinking I had an Insignia that I bought as a Black Friday sale. It's a 40-inch. It lasted about 3 years, and at third year, it just stopped turning on. And so, yeah, again, you could run into that. So
I bought back in 2010. I bought a TCL 32-inch. I think it's 32-inch. It's over there.
Right.
That thing still runs. It's not smart TV though. Doesn't have it's just a TV. It's just a flat panel.
But you could plug a Roku box into it. Or
I ran it with an Amazon Fire Stick for a long time, and now it just serves as my retro gaming hub. So it's got all my retro gaming stuff plugged into it.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't Justin talking a few weeks ago about the new Google streamer?
Yeah,
because they bodied the Chromecast and turned it into the streamer. So you don't necessarily need a smart TV. You can spend that extra money on a really good panel.
Right.
I mean, for large aspect panels, and by large aspect, I mean you're looking at a big honking TV, like 70 inches or larger.
Right.
I like Sony. I really do.
Yeah. Sony's good.
I like TCL. They've improved a lot. They're another great one. They were partnered with Roku. I think they changed and they're now partnered with Android TV, which is also what I like with Sony. Yeah, TCL, Sony's good. Stay away from the in-house brands. And what I mean with that is like for Best Buy, Insignia and Dynex are produced by Best Buy. They're a Best Buy brand.
Walmart has On. Yeah.
Walmart has On. And Walmart actually, last I checked, Walmart bought Vizio.
Right. Yep.
But LG, Samsung, Sony, Sharp, TCL. Yes, you're going to pay more for the name, but there's a reason for that.
We're going to take another quick break. We come back with more of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
I'm Matt Jones. You can find us on the web at techtalkradio.com.
We'll be right back.
And now, back to Tech Talk Radio.
Now, we talked about this product a couple of weeks ago, and I'm curious if you used it, Shawn. Ninite, do you remember when we were chatting about that one?
Yeah, so I did, right? I think I ran it during the show, that episode, to get a couple of the things that I didn't have installed. So Ninite is this fantastic website, ninite.com, Ninite.com. And you can literally just go, you go to the website, and it's got, look at all these applications. I can just click. Chrome, whatever browser you're using, whatever messaging system, media, imaging, documents, security, utilities, storage, developer tools. You just click the box, you hit get your Ninite, it gives you this package, and it downloads and installs all of those programs for you.
And you did this when you were going to Windows 11.
Yeah, I went to Windows 11, and then I was like just going through, and like I wrote a list. I literally wrote a document saying, what do I have installed on my computer? And I went through and I said, okay, I've got this. And then I went through and deleted as I installed, right? And this would have saved me, I don't know, 2 hours of my time probably of just going through and going to the website, downloading okay, got the installer, cool. This just, you click, you literally just do, it's like 15 clicks, and you've got a wrapped up package with all of the programs that you're going to want that you probably don't even know you need.
I got to tell you, one of the most frustrating things is doing a new install of Windows, getting all your programs, and doing a new smartphone. You're going from one to the other, or just brand new phone. It can be a real pain.
The other thing I'll tell you too is, remember, if you have saved passwords in your Google Chrome or anything like that, to make sure you've got that backed up, because if you move everything over and you don't bring certain things with you, you're going to have to re-log into everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to need to remember your passwords for everything. So
I think, Matt, you felt my pain in that one.
With that one, I will recommend, I've moved away from like Chrome holding all my passwords. I use Bitwarden. I used to use LastPass, but they had one too many breaches for my taste, and that is one, by the way. One breach is too many for my taste.
1Pass is the one I use, so I like it.
But yeah, Bitwarden, 1Pass, anything that's a password management solution, I highly recommend people look at that, because then you really just have to remember your master password, and that's it.
That's it. All right, that's it for this week's Tech Talk Radio. Thank you for joining us again. If you have a question, feel free to drop us a line. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Be careful with Cyber Monday. We were going to go over some of those things to be careful for, but we've run out of time. Just be safe when you're online. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
I'm Matt Jones. You can find us at blog.techtalkradio.com. Have a great holiday, everybody.